Okay, well, yes, and I know, I know part of that, the story and the fact that, that he got up there. And, at Lexington, on that night where he did put the lights up, I've been to Boston,
Okay.
I've seen the church, and, tried to picture, what happened that night and where it was. And then our group, we took a bus, basically along Paul Revere's ride to Lexington and Concord.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah.
and out to the green at Lexington, and the marker that's there for the marker is there for 7 that got killed, and they're buried there. And there was one they said took back to his farm to bury him. There were 8 of the Minutemen that got killed.
Mm.
And like I said, the 7, there's a marker for it there on the green. And it's still pristine. You can just picture, even though the town is built up about it now, you can just picture that they were there waiting and so forth, and went back towards Concord, back over the bridge at Concord. And today, there are even little markers along the route of the names of the soldiers that were killed, even the British. They're marked as little British flag along the way as they went down there. But it's just so remarkable, and you were talking about that he had to hide for 3 years. And in my readings, he was a member of the Sons of Liberty,
Mm-hmm.
and he was very much up, high in their council or in the groups. But these Sons of Liberty were very much anonymous, so to speak.
They had to be.
They had to be. They did not even share anything. In fact, oftentimes, and I found one place where it was an obituary of one of them that died. I think it was 1820, something like this, that he died. And it was only then that it came out that he let them know he was one of those Sons of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And when, and John Adams, they met with him, but they met in secret. It was all secret because of what might happen to him. And this certainly was with Ed.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, or not with Ed, but Paul, that, he had to hide and keep secret to get, stay alive, because they were going to kill them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, my first question is how and when did you first find out that you were related back to him? Or how did it come about, do you know?
Okay, my grandmother, and she is a famous person in
Oh.
Alaska.
Okay.
There's a book by her, and then she's
Is it-
in this also.
Okay.
And I've got about 14 books that she's written. Even
Okay.
the Reader's Digest had her on one of the copies.
Okay,
And,
Harriet Pullen.
Harriet Pullen.
Okay.
Okay, back in about early 1900, the teens.
Okay.
She was in Skagway, Alaska.
Okay.
She had a farm there, but she bought this big mansion from the sea captain, and she turned it into a hotel,
Okay.
a tourist hotel. And this gentleman came in, and he recognized the name, and he talked to her. He said that he knew the Pullens
Uh-huh.
in Boston,
Boston.
and that there was this book that had
Yeah.
the history in it, and he said, I will get that book for you.
Okay.
And this is a note he made
That's the book.
in the book. Well, I've heard about the book, but it didn't, it's, okay, I'm very busy doing everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
But he said he sent her this book, and anyway, he's
Mhm.
got a list here that he wanted her to have this book, and she had talked about him, and her husband, Dan Pullen, had mentioned to her that he was related, and so that was about all she knew about it. that, yeah, oh, he said that he was related to the guy that hung the lanterns.
John Pullen.
And, well, he said, I will send you that book. And so he did. And this has been in her possession since about I would say somewhere in the early teens.
Okay,
19 teens.
yeah.
And I had heard about this, and I didn't pay much attention to it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm
You're doing,
doing
we're working, we're earning a living and doing all that stuff.
being a soldier and everything else.
Right,
Well, when my father died, he gave me this book. He said, "This is a valuable book," and he had
Absolutely.
gotten it from her.
okay,
And my father's name was Royal Pullen.
okay.
He was Harriet's
Son,
middle son.
okay. And Harriet would have been your grandmother.
Yeah, and she was my grandmother, yes.
When she passed away, is she buried up in Alaska?
Yes,
Okay,
she's buried right along the railroad track up in Skagway.
I was there a number of years ago, I did a cruise
Right
up
past the
there.
Yukon.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
She told when she died, she said, "I don't want to be buried with all those crooks over there in the, you know, because Sophie Smith and
Yeah,
a bunch of the old people were buried there." She said, "I don't want to be buried with that." So he said, "Oh, I want to bury over there by the railroad." And the fellow said, "No, we can't do that." And she wrote to the president of the Canadian Pacific Railroad.
okay.
And he said, wherever Harriet wants to be buried.
Buried. Oh,
Oh, anyway,
she got her place.
she got her place. She's over there by the railroad.
Oh,
Anyway, Dad had this book, and he
okay,
gave it to me,
yeah,
and I've kept it in the safe.
yes,
And I thought, well, you know, about a year ago, I decided I better do something about this. It's a good story, and
Mhm.
it should be publicized, or it should be. So
The
I have
story.
hired an author.
okay,
We are writing a book.
okay. Oh, wonderful.
He's, the reason I hired him is he has a style similar to Taylor Caldwell.
Okay.
Are you familiar with
I-
Taylor Caldwell?
Yeah,
Well, he has a style like that, and this is the book he's writing. It's just rough pages right now.
yeah, well,
And
you
it will
start
be
out
put
that
into
way,
This is what he has taken,
documents from.
documents, all that he has pulled together to get all the information that he needs, and he's writing a story about
Oh.
this. And it's gonna be quite a,
Well, does
it's
he
gonna be
have,
about 200 pages. when he-
okay, well, I will have a copy, you can bet on that. Do they have a time, do you have a timeline kind of when it's going
Well,
to come out?
we're in the process of it right now,
Okay.
and
Thank you,
I think it'll be done probably sometime in midsummer,
okay.
or maybe in the fall, by the time we get the book put together.
It'll be out
It'll
before
be-
the 250th,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
it should, sometime either late summer or early
Oh,
fall.
how
We
perfect,
should have that book ready to go
oh, how
and
perfect.
have it published. He has a publisher, Amazon. He
Okay.
uses Amazon
Yeah,
for a publisher. And, do you know, Mark Akins?
I took his name down, I've heard
Yeah.
of it.
Did you meet him when he was here? Okay,
Mm.
well, anyway, I hired him to do it, and I'm paying him, every month I give him a check.
Yes, you know how that
And he
goes.
puts another 20 pages on it.
Yeah, Well,
So-
it couldn't have been a more perfect time to be doing
And we didn't
this.
even know about this, you know.
About 250?
And I decided, I'm not gonna live forever, so we're gonna get this done.
But this will be there, and there will be something that
Yes.
you and your
Yeah.
family have contributed to
Yes,
this.
well, and also I wanna leave this with you. I have made arrangements in case something happens to me. I mean, I'm not gonna live forever, I don't
Well,
think.
I'm not either.
But anyway, this is my daughter.
Oh, okay,
And she has my power of attorney.
okay.
And she will continue it
If something would
whatever
happen.
stage is in, if I pass away,
Okay,
she's
is
gonna
this for
take
me?
over and see that it gets done.
Done. Oh, that's wonderful, and that's what, what we can all do. And I think back, I've done some history research and so forth with 250. And we look at 1776 was the date. Well, 50 years out, when they had the 50 year in 1826,
Uh-huh.
okay, on that date, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams both passed away. They knew they were
Yes,
both
they
sick,
did.
but they didn't, and Jefferson passed away first, and Adams says, "Oh, he was sick and whatever, some of his last words, Jefferson will survive me." But whatever, but how significant it was that on that date, those two gentlemen
Both of them died
the same time,
Uh-huh.
and whatever. Jefferson, they had asked him, the mayor, I found something, mayor of Washington DC had come out to see him in Virginia where he lived. And he was not good, but anyway, the mayor wanted him to come to Washington DC and share his thoughts and story about being one of the last surviving founding fathers. And he turned him down, but in a letter that he wrote very close to this old time, he says, "I know what we did will last for generations." He says it's lasted 50 years. I know it's going to be good, and it will, what we've done, the declaration we put together. And it was some of the words, it's amazing that those founding fathers, that we were so lucky to have them, that what they did,
Isn't
what
that
they put
amazing?
together.
Yes. Yeah, it's absolutely
56 of them from all over the 13 counties, and they didn't have iPhones, and they didn't have even telephones, but they got together twice, and the second time they were able, after disagreements, to agree on that Declaration of Independence.
Mhm.
And it just says so much about, those people that were there in the beginning and started this country. But, no, and what's your great-great-grandfather or?
About 10 greats.
Okay, yeah, mine.
Between 8 and 10 greats.
Yeah, I get back to, I think it's 7 or 8, that when I go back, I have 3 patriots from the war that I've proven.
Okay.
And, to get back to them and so forth. So that was, that's been very special to me, and the special of the time that I went out there, and now that even more so, because I remember looking at that church and just thinking, you stand there, I don't know if everybody does,
Yeah.
but you stand down there and you just think, what it was like that night, and what happened, and so forth. And Paul Revere, did get stopped along that route. When he was almost finished, the British kind of caught him, stopped him from what because he was warning the colonists to get somewhere because they were going to get attacked. Anyway, they look at things, I think backwards now, they say they looked at it in a good way, because that time that they kind of stalled him, it gave the militiaman, the Minuteman, time to get to Lexington and prepare more. So, but they don't usually say that Paul Bunyan kind of got stopped along the way, or the British kind of caught up with him. But anyway, but just to think what he did, and just because of those 2 lights that were up there, that your how many greats grandfather put up there, what that meant to the country and what it's meant for these 250 years is just fantastic. I mean, so special.
Mhm.
And I know you're proud. You've served, you've done your service to our country, and it's just wonderful. And what I did find something, because I told you I was in DAR, there have been 25 women over the years that have used him as their patriot. And because he did the service, and then he signed up afterwards to be in. But there've been 25 over the years, and like I said, the first one did have the ing on, but it's been changed to the en, and that's how, when I looked up, because I first looked to see, find him, and he's not listed, but I looked and I did the en,
Yeah.
and it all came up, and you saw it, and it changed over as the papers went on.
Well, you go back to England now, it changed from Pull, and then it started putting in, depends whether where they were, northern
Where they
England or so forth and so on.
Yeah.
You'll find that that name came from William the Conqueror and
Well, I didn't know if you had this, I'm sure you did somewhere. It's the poem by Longfellow on the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere.
oh, yeah.
You've got it somewhere, but I didn't, I just wanted to be sure you had a copy of it to kind of
Oh,
read
that's
on.
fine. Thank you.
And
Yeah,
these just came out, but these are new stamps on the Revolutionary War battles that bring you a view of those three members. Starts
oh,
in
yes.
Lexington and Concord, but they
Right.
just came out, the post office released them, so.
I have
Those are for you.
oh, thank you. I have a large picture of the Washington at Trenton,
Yeah. Oh, well, this,
by Dietz.
okay. Yes, the big picture.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, there's two more. And then I went through and trying to find a copy, and I think this is it. Because this happened to be this lady, she did this in 1950. This is an application she made for DAR, and it was for John Pullen. But I thought you would want, this is for sure, this is his proof of service, what he did. Tells where he served and who he served with. But what I thought was very important, and it wasn't with every paper, the paragraph about he was the one that hung the lanterns in the Old North Church as part of her paper. And that didn't get in there if it wasn't true.
Yeah.
For it, but anyway, but I got that paper, I made a copy for you.
Thank you.
And I'll put that page with it. That page is just where it talks about the proof. And I'm sure you don't know her, but anyway, it'll be that you can have that for her.
Oh, all right.
You can have it.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be,
Do you know if you've ever had members of your family in DAR or SAR?
no,
Okay,
no, I don't.
okay. They should, without any problem, be able to get in, because it's a proven patriot. They just have to prove their lineage up to
Yeah.
wherever they can connect, but,
Well, I've been connected, the DAR has been part of my life ever since I got out of World War II.
okay. Very good.
They've,
Well, we honor you. We do what we can do. Did you get the book about veterans? That did they come to Marshall County for a veterans book on the Vietnam War? I should have brought one, I didn't. I will get you one without.
well, now the Vietnam War, I wasn't in that.
No, okay. Well, okay, but it was before that as well, so
Yeah,
there'd be something
okay.
in there that might be pertain to you, but it's certainly
Mhm.
something that you could use. But, were you overseas?
Oh, yes, yeah,
Okay.
and both of them, went over in, I had just, graduated, got a commission in the artillery, from Purdue, or from University of Nebraska.
Okay,
And, I was then a second lieutenant, and, June and I got married.
okay,
And, she was just pregnant, and he just got a child,
yeah.
and they called me back in and sent me back to Korea
Oh,
in the artillery. And I spent 2 more years
There.
with the artillery. And in that case, that was the shooting war. We were right in the middle
right
of
on the middle of it.
we did a lot of shooting at them, and they did a lot of shooting at us.
Well,
They miss me every time.
well, that's good, we're glad of that. Well, and the thing, and just look at, it's probably just in your genes all the way through, from that first John back in the 1770s, and what he did, a part of the Sons of Liberty, and so forth. Those characteristics and those thoughts have all come down through you, and that is so special of what you've done and what you've worked on.
Well, my father and my uncle were both in World War One,
Okay.
and he was on Pershing's staff. He was when they had arrived in England, with Dan Pullen was his name. He was named after his father. But the British offered the Americans tanks. We didn't have any tanks.
Yeah, yeah.
And Pershing didn't know what to do with them, so he called Dan. He says, "You figure it out." So he and a fellow by the name of George Patton did.
They did, you betcha they did, without a doubt. Well, when you mentioned Pershing, that was the first school that I was a principal of, was Pershing School, and we talked a lot about that and taught the kids about it, and who the school was named after and so forth, but he was a very special guy too.
Yeah, well, he was University of Nebraska.
Okay.
Also.
Okay, I didn't know that one. But and how did you get to Plymouth as your family?
June's folks
Okay.
built a house down there on Lost Lake. That was their retirement house.
Okay.
And that was in 85. And we were living in California, my father's home.
Okay.
And he had just passed away. And so when he passed away, we had two homes, one there and one here.
Okay.
And we went back and forth for a number of years.
Okay.
And we decided Plymouth was a very nice place to live.
Yeah.
So we moved from California
To here.
to here.
Okay. Well, we're fortunate that you did make that choice and found this good place
Well,
to live.
we've enjoyed here.
Yeah.
This has been a wonderful place.
Yeah. Well, we kind of are prejudiced to Indiana and these small town communities and the things that we get. Did you go on an honor flight?
Yes.
Go ahead.
In 2016,
Okay.
I was on the honor flight.
Okay. Well,
Didn't you write a book, Ed?
Hmm?
Didn't you write a book about your family?
Yes. Yeah, I've got it's a history book of my family, us, June and I.
oh, okay. Of
And,
yours?
yeah.
You and your children?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's important as you're looking at, he's writing this on your history, but your story goes on.
Yes.
And be sure that it's kept and recorded and put down and put in your
And
libraries or
Here
museums.
it's very interesting. It's a very interesting book. My
Okay.
sister helped you with it.
Yes.
Okay.
And she says it's very interesting that you have led a fascinating life and well worth reading about.
Well, thank you.
Well, I certainly am going to read more about it, and I feel honored. When they told me about you and about what was happening, I just had to come and this is such a special day for me, as I love history and I love my DIR and everything about it, and it's so much because of that beginning times and what your ancestor did, that we are where we are today. And it's just truly an honor to be here and to talk with you and to listen to your story and to be able to do whatever I can to share it with others and to make it something that will be remembered always.
Well, I appreciate the interest in
Yeah.
it, because I look at this, I looked at this book and the ones that I wrote, and then
Yeah.
my
And the one that's-
grandmother,
Yeah.
her adventures, and my grandfather too, and my uncle and everybody. I said, there's a lot of America here.
Yeah.
It should be told.
The story that should be told. And it's just, it's one family at a time, and the different families that did things and whatever. You just start looking back and who we are with DAR, if you can trace any of your families back,
Yeah.
and you look at how we got where we are here today and what they did.
Well, what really put it over is that I should do something is just a year ago, I had a stroke.
Okay.
And woke me up.
It gives you a wake-up call.
Yeah, it gave me a wake-up call. Well, they got the shot into me in time, and I survived it. And that's the reason I have problems with my emotions.
Okay.
Okay, and that wouldn't happen 2 years ago. But
Well, it's part of you now, and
and,
it's just fine. There's no problem with it at all. And like I said, I'm honored to listen to your story, and I hope to share it and to do whatever I can to promote as we celebrate 250 and as I go across the state of Indiana and some of the things I do even across the country that to share, and I will do that.
well, that's wonderful.
Now, you're participating tomorrow night.
Yes,
I'm not sure, what exactly are they gonna have you?
I don't know.
Cause I
They
don't
haven't
They're
think,
going to have you
told me.
climb up a
I-
back stairs
yeah,
of a church.
I don't
Climb
think
up
they're
the
gonna make,
tower.
I don't think they're gonna make you climb up the tower, Ed. I think they may have you light the lanterns and then send somebody, some athlete
They haven't
Up
told
the,
me.
do the
up the
step.
ladder.
They just said we gotta be there.
You
and,
could be there as what was it, the church clerk or whoever, the one that lets your great-great-great-great-grandfather go up there.
Yeah.
You can be the one that lets this gentleman go
Go up.
up there.
Yeah,
I'll have to show you something.
we,
I
as
used
a
to be in
community,
a-
we consider Ed and June to be treasures.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah. Ed is 98 and June is 97. They've been married for 73 years.
Oh, that's
Yes.
terrific.
And it doesn't matter what you're doing, where you go in town, they are out and at it,
And going.
going, yes.
Here a few years ago, about 10 years ago,
Oh,
we belonged to Wally Byram Caravan Club.
Okay.
It was, everybody had Airstream trailers.
trailers, and you
Well,
went.
we had the national meeting was out in Boston. And when I told these guys, I said, I told them this story.
Story.
And so there was an artist in the club, and he painted this and gave it to me.
Oh, my
Oh, that's
God.
neat.
How special. How.
That is really cool.
You are taking those lanterns.
Yep.
Oh. Well, it is, and especially now as we go into this
It's
250.
a deal about this size.
Yeah,
And if you, anyway, that's,
yeah. I think those are probably about the size we've got to go in our courthouse. Probably like this, and little squares, I think,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
We might wanna scan that for the museum,
all right.
just scan it so that we've got a
Yeah,
record
of
of
it.
it. Yeah, that
Listen,
would
I
be
was
cool.
going to say too, I have a copy of the Declaration of Independence in 30 by
yeah.
27
Yeah.
by 30. And it was commissioned by John Hay, who was Secretary of State in 1902. And
Oh,
he
my goodness.
commissioned this, and I have a copy there at the house. It's about this size, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
and
posters,
which
kind
you
of.
could use. I would loan that to the museum here, if you'd like to put it up somewhere.
I will talk to Sandy about that because I know we're gonna be doing things for the 250th. And I think, don't you, Anita, that would be an interesting
Yeah,
exhibit.
That would be,
So that would be very sweet, Ed. I'm gonna accept conditionally on Sandy's approval, but I think that
Alright.
would
It would
be
be
a
a
wonderful
wonderful
addition.
treasure.
Yes, that would be very sweet.
And I can't remember exactly, but I've told people they should read it. If you haven't read it, and it's not like a 200-page book,
no.
it is less than 1,500 words.
Yep.
And you can sit down and think about it and think about all the importance that's in those words that they put together.
I think I've got a picture of it here
Okay.
somewhere. Anyway, it's got all the symbols of the 13 colonies on the side. Oh yeah, here it is.
Oh, well, yes, you certainly will.
Oh,
Want.
yes.
And I would guess there's not a lot around anymore.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Pullen, that would be such a gracious thing for you to do.
I would
Let me
like
just,
to-
can I send this to myself so I can
Yes.
show it to Sandy?
Yes,
Okay.
you
So-
can do that. People say, well, send it to me, will you? I don't know how to do it.
I can read them and send easy things back, but don't give me something difficult or
Yeah,
Right.
it'll go.
that phone is far smarter than I am.
Okay.
Anything that I haven't
Okay.
asked you about or you'd like to share?
Thank you, sir.
Well, yes, I'd like to make one statement is, a lot of this goes back to, and they were all Masons.
Mhm.
They were Freemasons. And a great deal of this whole deal has been put together by the Scottish Rite.
Yes,
And I want them to get the credit for this. They do a great deal, pardon me. The Marquis de Lafayette.
Lafayette. I'm
And,
going to be going down to see their,
Gounod, thank you. Gounod, a lot of his principles, I don't know if you know who he is.
I'll have to go look.
He wrote opera, and he was
Okay.
a German musician. Gounod is very famous in history. He wrote the Faust. Have you ever heard the Faustus? And it was his story and his opera that he wrote. And he was tremendously interested in republics. He came up with the idea of how a country could be run. And he and the Marquis were great friends.
Yes,
And he did a great deal in forming the Masons.
okay.
And, yeah,
We have a presentation in October coming from the Studebaker Museum. They have an exhibit on this. They're going to have an exhibit on this. And he is going to be here in October at our Brown Bag to do a presentation on Lafayette's final American tour.
yeah. There's these are three magazines that were
Oh.
turned by the Scottish Rite, that
Okay.
I keep these.
Yes, I'm going to be down in Louisville and Jeffersonville. He went in May. He's going to be being there for the 200th anniversary. That will coincide with the
Yeah.
time that he made
I
his.
do want to emphasize that it is the Scottish Rite
Okay.
that are
Oh,
responsible.
that's okay.
Almost all of these guys, my grandfather and
Were members.
they were all Masons. And in here, in the book, it talks about him putting the tea in the bay, and he wouldn't put an Indian costume on. And all the rest of them dressed up like Indians to dump the tea in the bay, but
Yeah, he didn't.
the Captain Pullen didn't do it. Anyway, they were all Masons.
Okay.
And Paul Revere, it was Paul Revere's, his lodge is where they all belonged, and very secret.
It was all the Sons of
carry
Liberty,
little-
yep.
They carry little fobs in their pocket to identify themselves.
Like I said, the story that I read, it was only after his death did it even come out to his family
Yeah.
that he was a member of the Sons. They just guarded it, they were very private because
Yeah.
they,
Oh, it was worth your
for their
life
life.
because anybody found out about it,
they were dead,
they were dead.
yeah, without a doubt. But anyway, this is wonderful. I am honored. This is a highlight of my 250 career.